On April 7th of this year, a bizarre anomaly appeared on Ventusky, a weather monitoring app that allows users to observe weather patterns, winds, and waves using real-time data collated from respected international sources, including the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The massive anomaly appeared to have risen from the depths of the ocean near Antarctica, and it was headed towards Africa. The app showed giant clusters of waves over 80 feet high, spanning 2,000 miles, an area larger than Texas, caused by something colossal moving at speed under the surface of the ocean, making it an unidentified submersible object, or the ocean version of a UFO. This anomaly caused quite the stir online all around the world during its multiple-day journey, rumors swelling that it must be some kind of massive creature, Cthulhu, the Leviathan, or the alleged mobile underwater UFO construction base leaked by a whistleblower on 4chan. But on Friday, April 12th, Ventusky's spokesperson David Prantle said in an email response, "It was a model error. Ventusky serves as a visualization platform that collects data from various sources. The error originated in the model itself, so it was also reflected in the visualization on our website. In this case, the model is from the German Meteorological Service, with whom we are in contact, and they already resolved this error, that the model receives millions of data points from ships and buoys throughout the ocean. Problems can occur in such a large database. However, it may take time to determine the exact cause of this error." Right, sure, it was a model error. Now, this story really grabbed my attention, and I was really following the anomaly closely over those couple days. Probably because the first thing I saw about it was that it seemed like it probably came from Antarctica. One of my absolute favorite unhinged conspiracy theory topics to binge late at night when I should be sleeping are all the wild theories surrounding the least populated continent on Earth, the desolate frozen wastes of Antarctica. Something about the fact that most people will never have the chance to visit the mysterious giant ice cube almost makes it easier to fantasize that these theories could potentially be true, which of course makes them all the more fun to think about. So today I'm sharing with you a few of my favorite theories about Antarctica that I've found over the years. So grab a light jacket, because we're going to Antarctica. Oh, and before you forget, could you go ahead and hit the like button now?
I need it. I need you to like the video.
Whether or not the various theories we'll be covering today can be proven or easily debunked, what we do know is that Antarctica, a continent bigger than the size of the United States, is extremely isolated and very hard to access in more ways than one. Nobody is allowed to just visit Antarctica and travel freely. The official reason being that Antarctica's vast wildlife and important ecosystems need to be protected. The only way to enter Antarctica is by getting permission from one of 12 countries, who all signed the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. And unless you're a designated scientist, support staff, or military personnel, all of which are relegated to bases like McMurdo Base, you may as well not bother. You can take cruises that visit the coastline, but that's about it. One of the main theories about Antarctica that gets thrown around a lot are the Google Earth anomalies, mainly that Google Earth has blurred out or covered up certain regions completely. So for example, back in 2015, this bearing used to show this, what appears to be a massive cave entrance, and this is what it looks like now. Quite the difference. It's been completely deep fried and bizarrely darkened, leading many theorists online to claim that this is indeed one of the entrances to the Hollow Earth. But that's an entirely different rabbit hole. Another very popular screen cap went fairly viral, earning the name the Antarctica face, which users were quick to point out looked like an Olmec mask and similar to the face seen on Mars. The Olmec, whose heartland was located in present-day Mexico from 1200 to 400 BC, excelled in creating fine greenstone sculptures. Although the Olmec mask looks human, it's thought that the mask is an idealized composite alluding to the supernatural, sporting traits commonly found in Olmec otherworldly beings like the Olmec maze god. Interesting that we seem to see similar faces in such incredibly strange places. Then there's the pyramid-like structures or mountains that can still be seen on Google Earth that have whipped up a lot of interest online. Though, like the purported pyramid found in Indonesia, Gunung Padang, potentially the oldest pyramid on Earth, many are quick to point out that these structures are not structures at all, but natural formations that just happen to look like pyramids. But those that have been following any kind of alternate history content or news in the last decade know that people like Graham Hancock have been claiming to have been making discoveries, supporting the idea that there was an advanced civilization during the last ice age, that it was destroyed in a natural cataclysm during the Younger Dryas period, around 12,500 years ago, and that its few survivors traveled the world introducing agriculture, monumental architecture, and astronomy to hunter-gatherers, giving rise to civilizations like ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica. Hancock argues that evidence is found in ancient monuments which he believes are much older than archaeologists say. And this goes back to the idea that some have posited that the land under what is currently Antarctica used to be home to an ancient civilization. Fossils suggest that millions of years ago, Antarctica was as warm as Italy and covered by a green expanse of rainforest. But what if somehow remnants of that green expanse or civilization still remain deep under the ice? Do you ever feel like you're being watched, even when you're all alone? Maybe it's the existential dread of living in a world with an increasingly predatory internet. If you're watching this video, there's likely much more information about you on the internet than you'd like. And there was about me as well, but thanks to this video sponsor, Aura, that's no longer a problem. Aura is the all-in-one online security platform that protects you from data brokers who want to sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. When Aura reached out offering me a free trial of their service, they prompted me to do a quick Google search of myself or my email address and see what came up. In less than 5 minutes, I had my full name, address, my phone number, 2 previous addresses, a previous phone number, and phone numbers and addresses of a couple of my family members, not to mention some seemingly random medical records. And that's only the start. Hackers could even use this information to break into my social media profiles, including this very YouTube channel. And that would be bad. But that's exactly why I've been using Aura. Aura cleans up my online presence to protect me from hackers that could want to access my social media profiles, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. But it also shows me which data brokers are selling my information online and automatically submits opt-out requests for me, which in turn has drastically reduced the amount of spam calls and texts I receive. I don't know if you saw this, but AT&T revealed that over 73 million customer records from both existing and former customers were released on the dark web. They recommend those affected use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. Well, Aura does all of this for me, and best of all, I no longer have to download a bunch of different apps just to keep my online data secure. If my data was compromised in the AT&T data leak, I wouldn't have to worry because Aura is always online, always doing the hard work to keep me safe. And those are just a few of the things Aura can do for you. They'll also provide you with powerful tools like antivirus software, a VPN, and 3 bureau credit monitoring. I value my privacy and the privacy of my audience, so click on the link in the description or in the pinned comment to visit aura.com/parasyke and start your 2-week free trial now. And a massive thanks to Aura for sponsoring this video.
Now, why is the South Pole important? Why do we go down there? Our potential enemy. Because the bottom of the world is an untouched reservoir of natural resources. And I think it's important us to explore that area, important for the human race. One of the most important strategic areas on the face of the earth. I myself think we have a good chance to avoid war. But if we, unfortunately, God forbid, do have a war, much of it will be fought across the pole. It is very important that we get prepared to fight in the bitter cold and to utilize mechanized units there and to have bases near the pole that has strategic position with reference to our potential enemy.
In 1945, in the weeks and months just before and after the German surrender in World War II, 2 German submarines, U-boat U-530 and U-boat U-977, entered the waters of Mar del Plata, a city in Argentina, and surrendered. When interrogated by US forces, the commanders of the U-boats allegedly admitted to being part of a secret German fleet headed to Antarctica. This is what Russian intelligence gathered as well.
За 3 недели до конца войны подводная лодка У-530 вышла из Киля и взяла курс на Антарктиду. На борту подводной лодки находились пассажиры, лица которых были закрыты повязками, а также реликвии Третьего Рейха.
Командир другой лодки, У-977, Хайнц Шефер, показал, что немного позднее повторил этот же маршрут. Выяснилось также, что немецкие подлодки неоднократно ходили в Антарктиду. Но почему именно туда?
I agree. Why Antarctica? Well, the answer is rather clear. The Nazis had allegedly constructed a massive base there. In 1939, 2 planes took off from a German ship, the Schwabenland, and began patrolling Antarctica. 3 weeks later, Luftwaffe pilots were dropping flags attached to metal lances known as pennons all over Antarctica's surface. And just like that, the Third Reich, in their eyes, had secured and claimed a new territory bigger than Germany. They called it New Swabia. In April 1939, a highly experienced polar explorer and pilot, Alfred Richter, wrote, "I've completed the mission entrusted to me by Air Marshal Goering. For the first time, German aircraft flew over the Antarctic continent. Every 25 kilometers, we dropped pennons, covering about 600,000 square kilometers, of which 350,000 square kilometers were photographed." After the Germans had successfully scouted by air, the mission was then handed off to Admiral Karl Dönitz, who commanded the Führer's Sea Wolves, an elite fleet of powerful German submarines, or U-boats. And it was Karl Dönitz's bizarre remarks made after this mission that have piqued the interest of so many people over all these years. Karl reported back to Nazi leadership, "My submariners have found a true paradise on Earth. The German submarine fleet is proud, as at the other end of the world, we've made an impregnable citadel for our Führer." According to theorists and some historians, Karl was speaking directly about a Nazi base in Antarctica. So when you hear that, you may be imagining a brutalist, massive concrete and steel structure fit for a dictator, sitting on Antarctica's surface. But Karl seemed very confident of the impenetrability of this base, and there is another, far more bizarre and complex possibility. The possibility that this German stronghold was so secure because it would be nearly impossible for Allied forces to ever find, as it was located somewhere that no one else would really fully understand until decades later. In the 1990s, British and Russian scientists would begin to unravel a pretty shocking revelation in regards to Antarctica. 2 miles under Antarctica's surface lie hundreds of subglacial lakes. 400 have been discovered so far, and are so insanely vast that they are thought to make up at least 15% of the Earth's fresh water. These lakes are thought to have been formed from the heat from the Earth's core melting sheets of ice into water, and are so isolated that they may contain life that is completely alien to us. Thousands of microbial species. There are even rumors of an enormous 33-foot long, 14-tentacled squid-like creature dubbed Organism 46b that was allegedly discovered in the biggest of these subglacial lakes, Lake Vostok. According to reports, which are again completely unverified and totally denied by the scientific community, the animal had limbs that were animate and aggressive even after amputation, could release a toxin into the water to immobilize its prey from a distance of up to 150 feet, displayed an astonishing degree of shapeshifting, and showed a considerable degree of both hostility and intelligence. Many of these freshwater lakes are said to have formed massive warm caves under the ice, with temperatures up to 25 degrees Celsius, which is 77 degrees Fahrenheit. If this is true, it could support the idea that the Nazis could have discovered these caves, accessible only by submarine, and built their impregnable fortress for the Führer within one of them. An idea that is supported by this map, which was posted by someone that claimed to have found and translated it, and claims that it's a legitimate map complete with instructions on how to navigate the difficult underwater passage into the subglacial area, an area the map refers to as Agartha, which anyone familiar with that word will know it refers to a mysterious legendary kingdom that is said to be located on the inner surface of the Earth. Mr. Mythos here on YouTube has an incredibly well-researched and well-made series of videos covering Agartha and all things inner Earth related. So if you'd like to know more about the topic, I suggest starting there. Now, although this map looks well made, I'm a little bit skeptical, but is there perhaps some kind of historical event that would suggest the existence of some kind of Axis stronghold somewhere in Antarctica? Well, kinda, yeah. In late 1947, only months after the famous Roswell incident, the Secretary of the Navy, James Forrestal, sent a naval task force to Antarctica, including Admiral Nimitz and Admiral Byrd, called Operation Highjump. It was touted to be an expedition to find coal deposits and other natural resources, but some of the facts surrounding the operation suggest otherwise, seeming more like they were expecting to encounter extreme resistance. The expedition was supported by a large naval naval force dubbed Task Force 68, which consisted of the flagship USS Mount Olympus, aircraft carrier USS Philippine Sea, 13 U.S. naval support ships, 6 helicopters, 6 seaplanes, 15 other aircraft, and a total of 4,700 personnel. For a resource locating expedition, that's rolling pretty heavy. Now, officially, the operation went fairly smoothly, and the only fatalities were due to a plane crash that took the lives of 3 crew members, even though it took 13 days to rescue the other crew members from the crash, which seems a little sus. But unofficially, things went very badly. The theory goes that the fleet was a direct response to intelligence reports confirming the existence of a major German stronghold in Antarctica, and that once the naval expedition arrived, they were attacked by a fleet of advanced military aircraft. By some accounts, these advanced aircrafts were actually flying saucers. The fleet allegedly lost an entire ship and suffered hundreds of casualties before retreating, an abrupt end to the expedition that was supposed to go on for another 6 months. Now, this does seem like an extraordinary claim, but on March 5th, 1947, Admiral Byrd gave an interview to Lee Van Atta with El Mercurio, a newspaper in Santiago, Chile, with the headline, "On board the Mount Olympus on the high seas," in which Byrd declared, "It's imperative for the United States to initiate immediate defense measures against hostile regions. I don't want to frighten anybody unduly, but it's a bitter reality that in case of a new war, the continental United States would be attacked by flying objects, which could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds." According to the theory, any anomalous findings during Operation Highjump were quickly classified as top secret. Interestingly, on May 22nd, 1949, the body of James Forrestal, the Secretary of Defense and former Secretary of the Navy that put together Operation Highjump, was found on the 3rd floor roof, 13 floors below a 16th floor window of the Bethesda Naval Hospital. He had been admitted to the hospital, apparently against his will, diagnosed as suffering from operational fatigue, and kept in confinement in a room with security screen windows on the 16th floor since April 2nd, some 7 weeks before. The body had been discovered at 1:50 a.m., and the last edition of the May 22nd New York Times reported the death as a suicide, although the belt or sash of his dressing gown was tied tightly around his neck. James' brother, Henry Forrestal, did not believe that this death was a suicide and claimed that they killed him. Now, any number of political factions could have had James taken out, but I find his death interesting in the context of Operation Highjump when we begin to learn the fates of some of the other people that had intimate knowledge about the operation. Byrd would lead another secretive expedition to Antarctica in 1955, this time dubbed Operation Deep Freeze. In 1957, Admiral Byrd died shortly after being hospitalized at his home in Boston at the age of 68. Now, some people believe his death to be rather mysterious, but I find his son's death to be much more mysterious. Lieutenant Commander Richard Evelyn Byrd III was Admiral Byrd's son, and in 1988, he was traveling to Washington, D.C. to give a speech at a National Geographic Society event honoring his father. However, he never made it to the event, and 3 weeks later, he was found dead in an empty warehouse in Baltimore, wearing a different outfit than the one he was wearing when he disappeared, and he was missing one shoe. He had died from starvation and dehydration. He was also 68 years old when he died. The coroners declared he died due to Alzheimer's, but this apparently left his family confused, as they claimed they had seen no signs of the disease. Some theorists claim that Byrd Jr. was going to reveal the secret diary written by Admiral Byrd, in which he claims to have found an entrance to the inner Earth, fertile and green lands beyond the South Pole, and communed with an ancient race of blonde humanoids. But to be honest, the diary reads like absolute fantasy, and is very flowery and does not appear to be written by Admiral Byrd in my opinion. So is it possible that Admiral Byrd's son was taken out before he could expose some of the anomalous events that occurred during Operation Highjump and Operation Deep Freeze? I don't know, and you're never going to find out either, because we're not allowed to go there.
Rendezvous with him. The smooth shelf roughens. Dark rocks, called nunataks, appear above the ice. Then rugged mountain ranges as far as the eye can see. Bunger leans forward in amazement. His eyes have caught a sudden and unbelievable change in scenery. The universal white has turned to chocolate brown, dotted with blue. A cameraman goes into action. 300 square miles of land without snow. Land that might be in New Mexico or Arizona. Pictures alone will prove Bunger has discovered a warm oasis in the shadow of the pole. It is for such supreme moments as this that men brave the hardships of exploration. The astounding, undreamed of fact is that they are over a chain of warm water lakes whose shores, except for small patches, are free of ice and snow. Commander Bunger circles the largest lake in sight, 5 miles long. He comes in to make a landing. Water temperatures must be recorded. Samples taken. He finds the water fresh, the temperature 38 degrees Fahrenheit. On the shores are vast deposits of coal and of minerals of the utmost importance to civilization.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you want more content, please check out my Patreon. The link will be in the description. Also, shout out patrons. You guys are the best. Really appreciate you all and all of your support. I'll see you in the next video.